Welcome back, everybody. I'm Eric for President, and you know the drill. We're going to go over 5 stories that you missed over the past couple days. Of course, I want to give a couple of shout outs and a little bit of love to some indie VR games that you want to know about in development. We need to go over, of course, Asgards Wrath and the big story around it. My favorite story for the day, of course, Pavlov, Oculus Quest release date and pricing, and of course some more. Thank you all using the tip line down in the pinned comment. I wouldn't know about some of these stories if it wasn't for y'all, and I thank you very much for it. But as always, leave a like for an indie dev in need. I'm Eric for President. Let's get into the VR news. Beat Saber, Superhot, and Dreadhalls all prove a concept to me. Simple concepts in VR can work. And they can work because they take the concept of immersion, apply it in an intuitive way that invites the user in, and nails that simple concept with perfection. I'm not saying this next game will do that, but a beta invite program has started for a new Oculus Quest game coming that checks off a few boxes for me, and I want to give this indie project a little love. Links for the beta invite will be in the description, but Pro Putt is a game to watch coming. Pro Putt will feature a 5 to 10 hour campaign mode which consists of 5 lands each, with 5 to 8 levels in each area. A star system similar to Angry Birds will be present, meaning for completionists, there is more than just beating a level. In addition to a star system, achievements and collectibles will be present, adding to the replayability of each of these lands, and they also have their own mini games as well. The dev wanted to explain that although this is a golf putting game, it is not a putt-putt game and wants to give a realistic sense of golf to scratch that itch. What I really liked was the arena mode with 18 or 9-hole courses built for competition. Play friends online or locally matched up by skill level. These will be randomly ordered and auto-generated, making courses unique every match. The goal is to release by Christmas, although that may move into January, and release at $19.99 with roughly 40 levels and a dozen minigames, with the multiplayer mode to follow release quickly as a free update. This is not a sponsored post, something I genuinely think is a great addition to the Oculus Quest, and let me know what you think of a simple immersive game like this down in the comments. Following the theme of the last story, before we dive into today's larger stories, I want to give a little shout out to Traffic Jams, a game teased first on Reddit by Little Chicken Game Company. Details on this are super limited, and this is a developing announcement, but it's another super indie, super simple title that I feel can thrive in an immersive VR environment. Traffic Jams is an interesting looking game where you are in essence a traffic control officer dictating the flow of traffic at a busy intersection. There are a lot of small games like Air Traffic Controller and more that reminds me of a game like this, while simple and repetitive, have garnered huge amounts of volume and attention because it's a fun little challenge. This takes that fun little challenge of managing a lot of stimuli and adds the VR immersion to it. The developers have said that they want this in all major headsets, although no timetable yet, and the price is to be determined. Not sure if this has been accepted by Oculus for the Quest, but I see this having a huge potential on side quests, and if hand tracking came to this game, it may be perfect for such a simple concept like this. Link will be in the description for its Reddit page, and keep an eye on this one if you like anxiety-inducing games like I do. Before jumping into Pavlov news, hint hint, my favorite news of the day, let's talk about the giant elephant in the room no one should be missing, and that is Asgards Wrath, and something it is doing for VR that may have been missed. If you wanted a full review from me, it may be coming, but here's the TLDR of it, because a 1-minute review is really all you need for this game. Go buy it, go play it. If you need to use Revive to play it, work through those kinks and make it happen. This game is good enough to stand toe-to-toe with every VR game out there and is on par with many console games. Because it was meticulously crafted for VR, it adds to the experience VR enthusiasts have been waiting on forever, and to me is the first and only game that is the must-play virtual reality game put out, and the one that will make people actively want to get into VR for it. It all comes together to provide a magical VR experience we have not ever had to enjoy, and I feel lucky to experience something like this in my lifetime. The even bigger story with this is, can we talk about the IGN review on this? IGN, known to be harsh and opinionated on their reviews, especially constant condemnation for VR games, gave Asgards Wrath a 9.4 with the editor's choice credential. I think this is a tipping point for VR in mass appeal, as front page news on IGN as a VR game is big news flying under the radar. VR developers take note, we will wait as long as needed for quality games like Asgards Wrath, and consumers, reviewers, and media outlets will take note. Asgards Wrath will do a lot of good for VR, and this is a great time for the metaverse and the largest software VR mass market appeal story I think we've ever seen. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments on this game, especially if you think it's what VR needed to hit mainstream, something big like this as a title. Alright guys, time to talk Pavlov, and for those following the channel or know me, Pavlov is the game I play the most. At this point, I am a multiplayer VR messenger and preach the value I think multiplayer brings to VR to the point of nauseam at times. Pavlov, for those under a rock, is basically Counter-Strike in VR form and is on Steam the most played multiplayer game at more or less all times. It has of course been side-loadable as an alpha for the Oculus Quest, but we have updated news concerning its release date and price I want to share, with some disclaimers on the latter point. Let's start with price for the Oculus Quest release, and I have some heavy opinions on this one I want to hear your thoughts on as well in the comments. According to Davils on the Pavlov Discord, which I did have a discussion with him as well to try and confirm, it is likely and plausible that Pavlov may be free at launch on the Oculus Quest. I want to heavily, and did I say heavily, disclaim that this is not 100% verified and is the going thought process right now from Davils for the Pavlov Quest release. The notion of multiplayer only VR games having player base issues is a legit concern, as well as Dave worrying about the competition with Medal of Honor and Onward, all leads to the lower price point likely. However, it is my opinion that a game like Pavlov not only is proven enough to be a great game, but will provide at the time of release one of the only mass market appeal military shooter multiplayer options on the Quest, and due to that and how great it is, I would personally like to see it go for at least $10. Dave deserves to be paid for his hard work, and in the event this game does release for free, I would advocate the use of Patreon to donate to Dave for his hard work and continued updates to the game. In my talk with Davils, I also did ask for the release date and confirmed it should be releasing on the Oculus Store December of this year before Christmas. Seeing the state of the alpha and how it keeps improving at a rapid pace, this date adds up to very likely, and further with Davils seemed very reasonable for this to happen. I expect at release this to be one of, if not the most heavily played games on the Quest itself. A wireless online shooter with endless replayability could be the next Quest system seller, and with no news of Onward or Medal of Honor Quest play yet, it stands alone in what it can offer. I'll leave the rest to you all though. Are you as pumped for Pavlov this year as I am? Let me know down in the comments. And in our final story, a little quickie, because who doesn't like a good quickie? Let's talk about these bad boys, the Valve Index controllers. If you've been paying attention and wanting the Valve Index or Valve Index controllers, they're becoming in stock a little bit more. And of course, we need to revisit these because initially, you all remember, wasn't a big fan of it because I did have the issue with the thumbstick where it would not click, it would not register, which is very important for competitive multiplayer games like Pavlov and Space Junkies, which I was playing. And in fact, it got so bad that I could not actually move forward with the left controller. Well, I did the RMA process. For those worrying about that, it actually does take quite a while. For my case, it took a month and a half, a lot of poking and prodding, a lot of following up on my behalf, until I got these bad boys back. However, I will say, between my RMA and many of my friends who went through the same process, the new wave of controllers do seem to be much better. I have 50. I waited until 50 hours of additional gameplay on this new set before making this second review, and I will say all my problems that I had with the previous ones have not reappeared, and these ones are working flawlessly. In fact, I'm more in love with these every day I play with them, and I really cannot go back to touch controllers after getting very used to these. To the point of this news story, for those who have been wondering, is it worthwhile to go back to the Valve Index controllers? Have they fixed all the issues that were plaguing before? There are reports of people still having issues with second and third RMAs, but I will say the majority of people that I know, including myself, have no problems with these new ones, and the RMA process seems to be better, and the second batches of Valve Index controllers are very much worth it. And again, for any VR enthusiasts who can spend the money, I recommend the Valve Index. Among all the headsets, I have no complaints. It is hands down my favorite headset I've ever used. But as always, guys, that is the news for today. If you did enjoy this video, please hit that like button to support it. Make sure to subscribe and hit that bell icon to never miss an upload. I can't wait for the next video. The VR news is coming in so quick, I can't keep up with it. And this, like I keep saying, more and more games are coming. I cannot wait for them. But as always, guys, I will see you on the next one, VR Space Cowboys.